This is the second video of 3 for basic fundamentals of turning. The previous video was video 1 of 3. That's your lathe overview of the major controls, turning the spindle on and off, the carriage, cross slide, compound rest, tool post, tool holder, and cutting tool were all discussed there. Now we're going to look at completing the setup and get the machine ready to run our first part. So your first job is listed under assignment 1, I believe. It's called first turning fundamental, and it's really just simply touching off on the part and cutting a diameter to a specific size. So now if we take a look at our table off to the side of each lathe, we have a collection of tools for the lathe. These tools should stay by the lathe out here. We'll have a collection of rests that go into the tailstock, drill chucks, drills, drifts, the various wrenches you'll need, chuck keys, some Allen wrenches. Your tool should be here, and we would very much appreciate it if you keep these tools by the machine and don't borrow them across machines. If a particular machine is missing a tool, we'll get a replacement from the back. Don't take it from another one. This is our tool rest right here, or our tool post rather, our tool holder, and our cutting tool. And you'll see that it has a couple Allen wrenches. All you need to do is to take the tool out or put it in. You use an Allen wrench. There's 4 screws that hold in the cutting tool. And the first thing we do is basically set this cutting tool to be put in place. This is the tool holder. You'll see it just has a channel, 4 bolts or 4 Allen wrenches, and this is the cutting tool itself right here. We'll zoom in on it when it's sort of in the tool post, but what you're going to do is you're going to set this tool so that it's kind of close, this head here is kind of close to the front of the tool holder, and then you just need to snug down these 4 bolts here, these Allen head screws, to hold the cutter in place. Okay, so we have the cutter in place now, and you'll see a series of a thumb wheel and a jam nut here, and we're going to use this in just a minute to complete a setup to get this cutting tool ready to cut the part in our lathe. So if you take a look over here now, I'm going to zoom over back to the carriage. And there's our tool post assembly right there. Zoom out a little bit. I've got the tool sitting there. So your task for this first job will be to get this tool set and ready to machine. So essentially you'll see this tool post has a dovetail here. This should be set, there's an indicator right here, it's 60 degrees. So this tool post, this compound rest here, is always at an angle labeled as 60 from our core x-axis, but and you move that by loosening these 4 bolts and sliding it, but it should be in this position for most of your work. Now this is our tool post here, and you'll see it has like a dovetail key on the end of it, and your tool holder slides up and down on this. This would then tighten that, and you'll see that that slides freely up and down. By pulling this and just snugging it, it sets it tight into the tool post. So that is the basic method of setting your tool holder onto the tool post, right through this little dovetail right here. This just loosens, this slides all the way down until the thumb wheel hits, and this post will be, this holder will be adjustable up and down this tool post for reason which you'll see in just a minute. Looking onto the chuck now, I'm just going to pan over to the chuck. This is called a 3-jaw universal chuck, and the job you're going to have is to cut yourself a 3-inch long piece of aluminum. And what you're going to do is you're going to put this 3-inch long piece of 1-inch diameter aluminum. This is your chuck key. This is the way that you loosen this. You put in your piece to be machined. Give it a good good turn rather, to make it snug and firm. And here we now have a part sitting inside of each of these 3 jaws. These 3 jaws move together, and you loosen and unloosen them by simply turning this chuck key into the slot there. Now what we want to do is we want to turn the diameter. Our job will be to turn this diameter, and the way we're going to basically do that is we're going to bring our tool to the machine, to the part to be machined. I'm just adjusting it now. I'm going to make sure this is in frame. So you see, by moving that cutting tool a little closer in, you're going to be machining your part. It's a little hard for you to see because you're not seeing this move in, and the last video I'm going to do, the third of the intro, will be to kind of look down on the top, and you'll see what we have to do to machine this part. So, but for right now, what we have to do is get this tool post set to the right height. Let me show you what I mean. The way this works is you're actually taking this cutting tool and you're going to drive it along this face, a series of cuts to certain depths, and to remove material here. This cutter has to be right at the middle axis of our part here. So what we need to do is we need to set the proper height so that that cutting tool is neither above nor below, but right on the center line of this part. And the way we do that is we're going to actually use the tailstock here real quick in a technique that I'm going to demonstrate. It's really simple and quick way to set the tool to the right depth. So as we go to the tool post here, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. And what we're going to do is bring our tailstock we're going to take this part here, which is called the live center, and you'll see it has a point. And by inserting this live center into the tailstock, we advance the quill of the tailstock out a little bit, and we just turn it until that catches. Now you'll see that this device its point is right on the center line of the machine. So what we need to basically do is to, so here I'm just demonstrating that this little, what we call center, is actually right at the very center of the axis, and we want the height of our cutting tool to be right there in line with that. So the way we do it is we just kind of bring this tailstock back a bit. You get a crescent wrench, and with this piece loose here, you just kind of loosen up this big bolt on the crescent wrench with a crescent wrench, and you kind of bring it over here, and you'll see that I'm going to zoom in at a better angle so you can see what I'm doing. Now what I'm trying to accomplish here is to take this tool and get it onto the same height, center height, as this device here. And you can see we're a little bit off. And because this is loose, what we're going to be doing is we're just going to by eye as best as we can take out the cross slide a little bit, and then you're going to line it up the best as you can by eye, and you're going to take this little thumb wheel, and now you'll see that the point of our cutting tool is right at the point of this center. So that means this height is now set properly. So we take the jam nut, lock it down onto this, and snug it up back in place like so. All right, this height is now set. So this jam nut and this thumb wheel are locked. So the height is correct for our machining of the part. I can now take the tailstock and get it out of the way. And all we do is take out the center from the quill by taking the quill and turning it back until it breaks loose. And let's put it back in our toolbox. So now you see that we are now at the right height for this cutting tool to machine our part. But we still got the tool post loose. So what we need is this face of this tool has to be perpendicular to our chuck. And just by eye is good enough right now, so we can now clamp that back down again. But you need this to be parallel to our chuck, okay? And now it just gets locked down. And now we can take and machine our part with this tool. It's now set to the right height. It's set to the right orientation to the chuck face. In other words, it's parallel to the chuck face. So we're ready to go. We check if everything is tight. All our nuts and bolts, everything is snug. So now we're ready to machine. So bringing our part back out to see off in the distance here, we are now ready to start machining our part. One last rule, when you're doing a setup, you notice that this part is sticking out of the chuck a certain distance. This is a 1-inch diameter part. And the rules are that you should not be sticking out past the face of the jaws more than 3 times whatever your diameter is. So this happens to be a 1-inch diameter part. So what we do is assume that our 3-to-1 rule applies. So 3 times 1 is 3 inches. So that means this part should not be sticking out more than 3 inches from the face of the jaw. I mean, think about it. If it's way out there, it's going to be whipping around and you won't be able to hold a good tolerance. So the 3-to-1 rule. 3 inches of 3 times the diameter max sticking out from the face of the chuck. So in this piece, 1-inch diameter times 3 inches means 3 inches is my max limit. So this is now the end of the setup. And the important things here are manipulating the tool post so that it's lined up correctly with the vise, adjusting the height of the cutting tool so that it's on center, snugging everything down, and you're ready to go. So we're going to end the recording now.